All right, so just want to remind you all that these sessions are recorded. Those recordings will be available online. So if you ever want to review anything that we talked about tonight, or if you're ever not able to attend with us, those are always available for you after the meetings. Usually takes a day or two, and those are on the KDE media portal and linked to our website for this advisory council. Also, just a reminder that those are publicly available. So we record all sessions and post to the public. Did anyone have any issues accessing the minutes from Jody in your last email? Okay. And so just as a reminder, I know for some of you we've met before, and some of you this may be our first time together, but I believe I'm recognizing everyone in the room. I'm Sarah Snipes. I serve as the Director of Innovation at KDE. I apologize. I hate being behind this podium, but I think I'm stuck here for now. And Jody Doman, as you all know and love, she is our lead liaison for this advisory council and works as an innovative programs consultant on my team. So tonight, our agenda, we will also have a paper copy for you as soon as she gets here, but those were sent to you via email. We will go through a welcome. In lieu of a roll call for now, we'll pass around that sign-in sheet. I'll take a motion to approve those minutes from our December meeting. I'd like to share with you just very briefly the results of the learning agenda survey that was sent out to you. Do appreciate you all taking a moment of your time to fill that out. We will do an appointment of chair and vice chair, go over your numeracy interest with Chelsea Tingle from our math team at KDE. And Matthew Courtney is here with us as well. He serves as our policy advisor in the Office of Continuous Improvement and Support, and will provide us with a legislative update. We'll close out tonight with just any open discussion that is prompted by you all, and we will end with a chance for you all to give us feedback and adjourn. Those minutes that Jody sent to your email, I will just ask for a motion to approve the minutes. David, a second. Is that okay? I'm sorry, not David. Carl. Thank you so much. All right, so just as member introductions, go around here quickly. We're a small but mighty group. If you don't mind to tell your name, the district that you represent, and just a local celebration. What's something that's happened in your community since we last met that you want to lift up and celebrate? So we'll start over here.
David Turner, Walker Independent School District. I know our schools were all blue. I can't remember if I shared that. The newest thing in the district is we recently bought a library, old library in our district, and renovated that board office. So we have a very nice board office now with meeting space and office as well. It's been really good.
My name is Joanna Friels. I'm from Shelby County. And one of the things that we've done, well, it's kind of started with last year, but that would be completed this year. We started a middle school career center where they have modules that they go in and different modules like nutrition, police, and different career paths that you can take. And it's very successful. We've got 3 middle schools and we've got it set up in all 3. And I think they're going to start about the different modules, and it's really for the kid. We all haven't seen it. I'm sure get them and then see.
Lisa Banks, I'm from the Powhatan School District. It's been an exciting year. We've been in our own sheriff's department. It's been good for us. And then we opened a new elementary school that we started We started facilities open in January. We had Christmas. So that's what every year most of our elementary schools should build in early. So this one was a big deal for us. That's probably our biggest highlight.
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Did they collect the taxes? The SRO that's in the sheriff's department?
Well, it's the school systems. Police department.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the sheriff, because the sheriff's department used to collect taxes. I mean, that would be good if you
We should have the fact.
Yeah.
save a little money.
Yeah, no, it still goes to the sheriff's department.
My name's David Webster. I'm from Simpson County. We're still doing building projects. I think we did last time we met, but the biggest one we got is our complete remodel for tech. And we're adding a plumbing class and a nursing, full nursing class. And we've got a lot of other classes already. We're looking forward to the plumbing class. We've got a lot of kids that get involved in it. And the community wants plumbing in their job.
I'm Jason Collins from Anderson County, and one SROs we're ranked the #1 in the state. We're very proud of that, and we just started a fire science program with Anderson Fire Department, and so they're coming in and they can just over. So it's a really good program. Matter of fact, people are getting down the doors.
Carl guys with Clark County. We since at the last meeting talked about, we just opened up our preschool. Well, the building our preschool was empty, turned into a community center. So we're doing some stuff with it that will allow the community members to come in and teach yoga, or they're done lifting, and there's the gym, and they can go rip the gym out, play basketball, but also for like anybody in the community that has that is new to kids, like we just luckily for those, they need a place for meetings. We do it to them for free. Anybody that's kid involved in it, it's free, but in some instances, you know, release meeting structures, but what's it, we'll just explain the generation.
My name is Felix Sankoche, Africa Independent. I'm so proud of innovation and so many programs like we have auto tech, auto body painting, welding, carpentry, health sciences. We're working on the $50 million grants to add three more programs. Each back one of them on artificial AI, artificial intelligence, and electrical. And we are also going to build. We got a grant to build a solar farm at one of the sites in Paducah. We're so proud of it.
Interesting. I hear a lot about career tech, a lot of opportunities for kids to get out in community and then also to bring community in, which is what we're all about. So I will say fire science, I get like emotional these days. Who knew I was going to be so invested in fire science? My son is not a traditional student in the sense of achievement. Actually, tomorrow will be our 7th year of him in our home. He came to us through the foster care system and we adopted him. And he struggled to find his place in school ever since with transiency and so on. But he started the fire science program this year as a freshman in Franklin County. And he comes home and he's like, I'm top of my class. I want to be a firefighter. He's starting his first job on Saturday, his 14-year-old, right next door to the fire station. So it makes a big difference. It's been the place he belongs now. So thank you all for investing in that.
Tell him I've been firefighting for 48 years. And
I'm going to send him your way. I would not have had that on my bingo card for him. I tried to talk him into welding, but mom was wrong. I was wrong. I won't tell him that, but I was wrong. So that's exciting. I personally, as a mom, thank you all for investing in that for the students in your communities. Wonderful. Well, and we still have some folks online. Brenda, let's see if we can hear you over in the room.
Okay, I'm Brenda Rose, Whitley County Schools, and we had a board meeting Tuesday night, and I learned that we are adding the University of Kentucky for a dual credit for our students. We will be one of 23 districts in the state that can do that now, along with the University of the Cumberlands and EKU and Midway. So I'm really excited to add UK.
Thanks for sharing, Brenda. And Jennifer.
Hello. Yes, I'm Jennifer Thomas. I'm from Graves County, and I'm excited to share that we have partnered with Murray State University to pilot a program to develop our own teachers. And when our students graduate from Graves County, they will actually be halfway finished with their education degree, and they can actually do some of their practicum and internship hours within our schools. And hopefully we can maintain those students in our district.
Thank you for sharing, Jennifer. It's great to have you all with us tonight. Again, just appreciate the time. I know that KSBA is really what brings you all here in these convenings, but Jody and I talk all the time. I think that was one of the smartest decisions, was moving and convening this group along with these convenings. Our in-person attendance, of course, is just far better than it's ever been. So glad we can come to where you all are and be together. All right, do you want to orient you really quickly to this green folder that everyone should have gotten? Brenda and Jennifer, I apologize for not getting this to you all in email in advance, but I will make sure that when we take a little bit of a break, I will get that to your inboxes. In your folder, I've got a notes copy of your slides tonight. There will be a chance for you to leave feedback at the end. I know this is a little bit new in terms of bringing you all materials, so please feel free to let me know if this is something you'd like to continue to receive. We are more than happy to do that. There's also behind the slides, the Learning Agenda survey results a little more comprehensively. I'll just hit some of the high notes there for you all in the slides tonight, but feel free to dig into that information on your own. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see just a feedback form you can leave with us anonymously this afternoon. And I've also included just an extra goodie. There is the Kentucky Student Voice team, if you're not familiar with them. We recently had them with us at the Kentucky United We Learn Council convening. This is a sample snapshot report of one of their kind of flagship offerings. This is a student research, student-led, 100% student-led culture and climate audit that they lead and conduct with students in districts in partnership with those district students. So just wanted to share this with you. This one happens to come out of a recent partnership with Hazard, Kentucky, and this is their student success audit. So students volunteered to participate in a research team, and they put in many, many hours talking with their peers and putting together this research project. So just wanted to share that with you in case it's something you all might be interested in. So if you will take a look at your Learning Agenda survey results, I'm just going to quickly, again, hit some of those high notes. As a reminder, Jody sent this out in email after our December meeting. Thank you all so much for your engagement in December. That session was fantastic. We heard from you, great feedback that you appreciated the time to discuss and work together. And so that felt really good for us, and I'm glad that also felt right for you all. So that follow-up survey was intended to go a level deeper into what it is you want to learn. So in that December session, if you recall, we identified 5 priority areas that you want to focus most of our learning and energy on this particular year. And so Jody's survey that she sent out really dug into the more specific details of what it is you want to learn. I think in the past, we probably would have stopped there and just gotten your topics and made some assumptions about what you wanted to learn. So it really helped get some clarity. When we approached Chelsea today to talk about numeracy, we were able to give her very specific things that you all wanted to know. And I know as a presenter, that's helpful. And hopefully for you all, it makes it even more meaningful. So your big rocks for teacher recruitment and retention inequity gaps, numeracy, communication, and governance roles, in particular, school-based councils and board responsibilities. Just to do a deep dive really quickly into that first topic, teacher recruitment and retention. You all were most interested in exploring what truly drives teachers' decisions to stay or leave districts. So that included things like culture and leadership, workload, compensation, and morale. You also wondered how small or rural districts could compete with larger systems for talent and stability, and wanted to focus on what success looks like in retention data. So looking for things like exit reasons, tracking trends, and examples of districts who are improving year over year. And again, in your packet here, you can see a little bit more of a deep dive into those numbers. We did receive 10 responses. Going into numeracy as another topic, mostly interested in what numeracy performance looks like beneath the averages. So disaggregated trends, subgroup patterns, and meaningful indicators beyond overall proficiency. And the most common instructional practices that are in use and how they align with HQIRs. And systems level constraints that are shaping mathematics instruction. So teaching time, staffing, resources, and more. For topic number 3, you identified equity gaps, specifically around access and student outcomes. So those focuses really came down to where inequities are most visible in your own district. So some of you were able to identify some specific needs there. How community context and family financial security influences student performance and opportunity, and what data and stories can help boards advocate effectively for exceptional learners and historically underserved populations, rather than relying on averages and compliance metrics. You also lifted up communication as a priority, specifically how to communicate complex topics clearly. And those included things like testing, finance, operations, without oversimplifying. And I think you all specifically lifted up the need to maintain trust with your communities, strategies for increasing public understanding, and transparent crisis communication approaches that help communities better understand decisions. And lastly, with governance roles, you indicated the most interest in exploring the clarity of legal roles and decision-making boundaries, how to navigate scenarios where decisions create misalignment, and practical guidance for maintaining coherence between school-level input and district-level decision-making without overstepping authorities. So just to bring this into an actionable space for Jody and myself, you all indicated certain ways that you prefer to work together. It's really our goal this year to move this group into a true advocacy space, or I'm sorry, advisory space, being able to relay communication and concerns that you have back to the department as it's intended to be. And so you all, as far as learning and working together, indicated the strongest preferences for brief presentations. You wanted more district case studies. You wanted actionable data and resources, some Q&A with experts, and some panel discussion. And so some immediate actions that we'll take into consideration with planning and response is we'll make sure we can build in structured Q&A time, more of those small group discussions. We'll add in short expert briefings with guests. And bring you more Kentucky district case studies and real examples, and then hopefully curate over the year a toolkit to house any shared resources for you all as we meet and learn from guests. So our proposal is that in February, we'll begin this session with numeracy and legislative updates. We will work in July to focus on teacher recruitment and retention and your equity focus. And in December, finish the 2026 year focused on communication and governance roles. So I really just wanted to pitch back out to you all, looking at this, remembering back to our conversation in December, does this hit the mark? It only works if this is meaningful for you all. And I do want to make a note, of course, we have already reached out to our teacher recruitment team at KDE, and they are confirmed to work with us in July. So already this has been tremendously helpful for us to work with those teams in advance. But do want to note that this time could change based on the availability of staff and expert guests. But just want to open it up here. This is the start of planning and we welcome your feedback. Does this feel right? Does this reflect what you shared with us in December? And be harsh if it's not.
Yeah.
So just wanted to be transparent there with you all about what we'll do as steps moving forward. Really appreciate that. I think David could speak to chair roles in the past. Maybe this makes life a little bit easier on trying to come up with agenda items. Of course, if there's ever anything outside of this that you want to discuss, that is what we'll continue to work with the chair on making sure that there's space for in our meeting. And speaking of chair and vice chair, we do need to appoint one for this year. Jody had reached out and we received confirmed nominations of interest from David Webster out of Simpson County. And we want to leave space here now to see if there are additional nominees. In particular, is there an interest in someone nominating or nominating someone we may consider for vice chair as well?
I think we accept the nomination.
For David? Okay. You're on the hook, David. They're not going to let you go. Okay. Do we have any other nominations? Yes. So let's go ahead. We've got any nominations for vice chair? Carl? I think we can just do a motion in a second if there's no, okay. So Felix, a first motion for David and Carl. Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Easy peasy. Okay. All right, so we will work, David and Carl. I know what we had tried to do last year was just set up quick check-in prior to our next meeting, make sure the agenda looks good for you all. Also want to work with you all more to lead facilitation of anything that you would like to. So we'll get together and work on that, but appreciate you accepting. And Carl, thank you for taking that nomination.
Are we still going to stand up? Yes.
Yes.
I don't need to part.
Yes, absolutely. So I think this will help us know kind of the big bucket items we will definitely prioritize, but in advance of each meeting, we will have that call. Yeah, we know there's things that we can't anticipate will come up throughout the year, additional interest and questions that you may have. Well, I mentioned that Chelsea Tingle is with us online. I'm having a little difficulty, Chelsea, getting your face also on the screen, but we can see your slides, so just let me know when to advance. But Chelsea joins us after receiving the feedback that we just shared with you all specific to numeracy. Really appreciate Chelsea. I think she was triple booked tonight, just about, and coming out of, was it Hazard today, Chelsea? Yes. So she is online with us tonight. I would not have wanted her to go from Hazard to Louisville tonight with the weather anyway. So she has joined us online. Chelsea, we really appreciate you being with us this evening. And if you just want to let me know when to transition, I'll lead the way.
Okay. Well, I want to make sure you can hear me. Hopefully I'm being loud enough, or I can talk louder if needed. Everybody, is that good? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be able to speak to this group. The local school board is such a huge piece to every school district, and each of you are very valuable members of the school boards, and being on this advisory council is so important. So I thank each of you for doing the extra mile and being a part of this group because it matters. And so I just want to say that from me, and someone who always appreciated and celebrated School Board Appreciation Month that happened in January. So you deserve lots of appreciation for your advocacy and being part of this group. You can advance to the next slide. I want to talk to you about the current landscape so that you have some context for where we are. So this is the NAEP. The NAEP is a national test that is given across the nation. It is our way of comparing where we are to the rest of the states around us. And I bring this up so that you have this context. And in fourth grade, it's given at fourth grade and eighth grade. And so we'll look at those tonight. And we are in comparison to the nation pretty much in fourth grade. But we still know that we want to improve. You can go to the next slide. By eighth grade, conceptual gaps in fractions and ratios and proportional reasoning, I think that's what is hitting in eighth grade, and that's decreasing our scores just a little bit from that national public average. But we're keeping up with the nation. So that is good work, but we know there's more work to be done. The next slide talks about the KSA. I'm sure that you have looked at this in your local context and then across the state. This is again in elementary, so I was trying to compare similar data points. Overall in our state, we have seen elementary math proficiency have minimal growth. So we are very excited about the recent legislation that provided a lot of support in the area of numeracy and to continue those efforts statewide in mathematics instruction. The next speaks to middle school, somewhat similar results in middle school, but there has been some growth across the state in this area. But again, we want to continue with providing more support in this area so that our students have that advantage and they continue to improve. And then I also included high school on the next slide. This is all coming from the Kentucky School Report Card that everyone has access to. So I just provided a high-level overview of some of those things. And this is proficient distinguished for our high school. And they have somewhat improved since 21-22 school year, up to 40%. I hope that you all can see those. If you have any questions on it, feel free to ask. The next slide, to put it simply, I want to talk about the legislation. The legislation is targeted at improving student outcomes in mathematics. There is also a focus on MTSS K-12, but the learning goals are targeted primarily at K-3. The KSA begins at K-3, but we know that mathematical concepts build on one another. So a focus on numeracy in K-3 was essential to empowering students for mathematical success. We also believe that words matter. All Kentucky students, not just some, but each and every Kentucky student deserves access to high quality grade level learning in mathematics. Next slide. So with this legislation within Section 2, there's a focus on student access to, and it serves as a framework for the remaining portion of the legislation. This is talking about giving every student K through 3 a universal screener. And then if that screener somewhat flags some students for being at risk, then they would move on to a diagnostic assessment that would then give us even more information about where that student is at. So it is supported across the state and across the department in really being very intentional in working with our students in the area of mathematics. In advance of local implementation, The KD has worked with key statewide partners to provide professional learning for K through 8 educators and administrators. So I'm on the next one. And actually, you can go one more. So the Kentucky Numeracy Counts Act, House Bill 162, and go, let's see. Yes, go one more for me. This one is saying by September 1st that we have, back one, I'm so sorry, that every district in the state would name an HQIR that they have, and then also that screener and diagnostic. And so we want them, so the screener diagnostic comes in next year. The HQIR was for that they have that this year. And then also we wanted to provide grants to help school districts purchase HQIRs so that they have that in their school district. So this was a part of the appropriation that came from the legislation. Next slide. This is an outline of the implementation efforts so far. This is a simple slide, but there are lots of components to this that we're very excited about and seeing the impact of those. So if you want to see some of that, we have an implementation timeline. We have a numeracy counts page on the website where we have also established a newsletter for monthly communications about numeracy across the state. We have identified state partners for numeracy counts academies. We have an approved KDE list of valid, reliable screeners and diagnostics for K3. We have those approved HQIRs, the list for K12. We have awarded 40 districts $70,000 for an HQIR and or associated curriculum. And then we also have the Mathematics Leadership Collaborative, which includes 24 districts. And actually some of your districts I have either seen yesterday, today, or we'll see tomorrow. And so that's pulling together district level teams to look at numeracy in their schools. Do we have a vision for numeracy that provides a common vocabulary for us from kindergarten to 12th grade, and we can unite our efforts around numeracy with this vision? And it also helps to make some decisions. Is this aligned with our vision? So we are working with districts to do that work right now with that collaborative. And then we also have the MAF grants that continue, and they have awarded, they've been awarded to 51 schools around school-based coaching, and we are seeing great gains from that grant. And our co-directors are leading that work across the state, and it is having great impacts. And so soon we'll be able to share some more data around that grant and the impacts of that grant. So a little bit more about the numeracy academies. You can go to that next slide. So we partner with Advanced Kentucky, and they have access to algebra, and it's a comprehensive training and incentive model to support rigorous middle school mathematics. You can see they've already started this, so we are supporting a continuation and expansion of this work. So there are many schools participating in access to algebra. We also have partnered with GREC, and they have Epic Learning, and they have created a Kentucky Numeracy Alliance. It's an opportunity for teachers of grades 3 through 5 who are focused on numeracy with fractions, and grades 6 through 8 focused on numeracy with ratios and proportional reasoning. And they complete Carnegie's learning, evidence-based professional learning patterns, and receive individualized coaching by the Epic team. We also have Kentucky Center for Mathematics has launched a 2-year hybrid learning experience for K through 5 educators, and that started in summer of 2025. It is developed and facilitated by Kentucky Center for Mathematics in partnership with the Kentucky Department of Education. It is by Kentucky educators for Kentucky educators, and they feature a blend of in-person learning and then both synchronous and asynchronous virtual learning opportunities designed to meet the needs of K through 5 math teachers. Cohort 1 serves over 900 teachers. That seems like a very large number, but it is not reaching all of our elementary schools yet. And so we will be launching Cohort 2. Applications will come out in March, early March for Cohort 2. So if you know any educators K through 5, encourage them to participate in this learning because it is very dynamic. The learning has been very powerful for those educators. So I really want to encourage all teachers to participate in that learning. We also have, because we know how important the principal and the administrators are to the learning of the school and the success of the school. So there is an administrator academy where we have 252 administrators enrolled in Cohort 1. That learning, that leadership academy, and it started in summer of 2025 as well. So they're ending this academy, but starting a new academy for next year for Cohort 2. So applications are also opening for that. So if you know some administrators that could use some professional learning around supporting math in their school, it has been a great support to administrators, and they also come together as teams. So there's district level people there with principals, and those conversations are really advancing the work in their schools. And so they have had virtual sessions. They have also had in-person learning, and those have happened throughout the year. And they also, because of who they are, they have also offered sessions to those who are not in the academy in order to support principals who have teachers in the teacher academy. So not only reaching the 252, but they have opened that up across the state to support principals, because we know how important it is for them to know what the learning is that their teachers are going through. And so they've provided a level of support outside of that academy as well. So it's far reaching, and that's been their goal, to reach so much of the state. I talked about those 40 districts to purchase that HQR and that curriculum-based professional learning. And very exciting, the Numeracy Counts Academies and the MAF grants, in some way, shape, or form, we have 139 districts across the state participating. So that is very exciting. But as you know, there's more districts than that in our state. And so we want to reach all. And with the addition of the Mathematics Leadership Collaborative, we are reaching a few more districts that haven't been in these other areas, participated in these other areas. And so we're very excited about expanding the work. And so we'll keep going. The next slide, Sarah, if you could help, I wanted to give you a little taste of high quality instruction that's happening today in our classrooms. And so if there's a way to play that video, I think that you'll enjoy a little snippet of what math classrooms look like. This is a 4th grade classroom.
In order to support in this lesson, we will be using multiple representations, fractions with pattern blocks, focusing on the different structures, how whole number structures can compare with fractions. We'll be focusing on using discourse in order to increase student and deepen their knowledge of fractions by their representations of others, and discussing how their representations are similar and different. I want you to show me how you can find the sum of 1/3 plus 1/3 if your whole is the trapezoid.
How many? The trapezoid and 1 here. Yeah, you're right. It's 3. Yeah, because you just have to put 2 normals and then just.
And what would it look like on here? What would 2/3 look like on there? Good, so there's our 2/3. So if the trapezoid is the whole, how could you show the sum of 1/3 and 1/3? Kendall, how could you show the sum of 1/3 and 1/3?
You split it up into 3 different triangles.
Split it up into 3 different triangles. Can you come do it for me? And you may, oh, we've already seen some agree. I already see Micah agrees with you. This group agrees. This group agrees. Good. Good. She had a triangle, triangle, a triangle. Right? She split it into thirds. Now, if Kendall wants to show 2/3, how could we show that with our model? Micah, how can we show it?
Just color in 2 of the triangles.
Because we want our equation to show our representation, our model. So there's our 1/3. Then Micah's adding another third. So what's the sum? 2/3. So 1/3 and 1/3, thank you, or 1/3 plus 1/3 would give us 2/3. We are going to keep track with each one. Remember, we're going to write an equation. We're going to make sure we have a representation of what each fraction means. What does it look like based on our whole? Next one, we're going to change the whole. With the hexagon as the whole, show me 1/2 plus 1/2. Okay, so you're with this one, we're showing 1/2 plus 1/2, right? So if I have a half.
I noticed that 2 trapezoids can make a hexagon, and also 6 of these triangles can make one as well. So 1/2 plus 1/2 is 2 halves, because the denominator does not change. So 1 plus 1 is 2, so it'd be 2 halves, which would be 1 whole. Yeah, 1 whole.
You are seeing the different representations, you're putting them together, but we need to make sure we understand what each of those representations mean. Ronnie, tell us what you did.
1/2 plus 1/2 is 2 halves, which is a whole.
Yes, ma'am.
And for like the halves is trapezoid.
The halves are trapezoids. And here's our next one. Show 1/2 plus 1/2. The rhombus is the whole.
I thought this triangle is half of this rhombus, and after the better triangle on it, it was a rhombus. So I did that 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1 full fraction.
Yes, sir.
We used 2 triangles
Okay.
for the rhombus. So the rhombus is the whole, right? So
Right.
we have to use 2 equal parts for this, 1/2 and 1/2. So we use 2 triangles, which
Okay.
is 2 equal parts. We said 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 2 and 2 slash 1 whole.
Right. So because it equals the same thing, right? Now, how are the last one that we did? We also added halves, right?
Yeah.
1/2 plus 1/2 is a whole here. How are these two different? Because we have the same equation. How is it different, Dallas?
It has like so like right here it's a hexagon.
Right.
It's like has more sides
It has more sides.
than a rhombus.
Okay.
And
you want to add on?
We use the rhombus as a whole, and for that one we use the hexagon.
So what I'm hearing you say is the whole matters.
Yeah, and we use different
The whole, good.
different shapes.
You use different shapes. So our whole, we have to think of it in relation to the whole, right? The part in relation to the whole. At your own pace, show me 1/6 plus 1/6. Show me 2/6 plus 2/6.
I did my hexagon, split up into the 6 triangles, shaded in one, which shows me the 1/6 plus the other 1/6. And I know that will equal 2/6 because it's a unit fraction, so you will add the top number and not the denominator.
I get that, yeah.
That's how I got it, 2/6. So I'm gonna draw the hexagon, and then I'm gonna use my triangles and split it up into 6, because I can take one triangle and another part of it is the size of one of the sides on here, and there's 6 sides, so 6 triangles should make the 6.
The use of multiple representations in discourse help deepen students' learning of fractions. Specifically, in the lesson, students used representations of pattern blocks to show addition. When they were able to use the whole, for example, the trapezoid, they then broke it into 3 equal parts to show thirds. Then they were able to add those thirds together. So they were able to represent 1/3 with one triangle, add the other triangle, which was another third, to have a sum of 2/3. My next steps will be to move to the operation of subtraction, using these same models or representations of the pattern blocks and connecting these representations to bar models and area models, which the students have already used in operations.
Thank you so much for sharing that video. I hope that you enjoyed that as much as I do, and seeing the different ways that math is being taught in the classroom. There are multiple ways to access math today, and we want those multiple representations for students to have that access to math and really get past the negative connotation of math. When you put blocks in front of kids, they engage. And so I wanted you to see some of what is happening in our classrooms and hear it. There was lots of student discourse happening in the classrooms, and it's so important that students speak to their learning. And when they do that with their peers, with the teacher, it just really solidifies the learning for the student. And so it's very exciting. So that website where that video came from is the Kentucky Center for Mathematics hub, that they have made public these videos from teachers who are in their academy doing really great things in their classroom. And so I encourage you to check that out if you'd like to see more videos of students in classrooms. You're welcome to see that. But I just wanted to give you an idea of what's happening in those teachers' academies and how teachers are teaching our students today. So as we continue, just really signifying the importance of having a high quality instructional resource. And when we say that, it's the curriculum. They're not the traditional textbooks today. But it equates to that. So what are they teaching? What are we giving them to teach our students? And it's really important that those resources are aligned with the standards, that they have been researched and they're externally validated, that they are comprehensive to include engaging text, lots of different forms of multimedia tasks and assessments. They are based on fostering vibrant student learning experience for our students. They're culturally relevant, free from bias, and accessible for our students. Some of the next slide has the core components that these high quality math resources should have. And they have procedural fluency, they have conceptual understanding, they have application and problem solving, they're coherent learning progressions from K through 5 or whatever grade levels they are targeting. They are aligned to rigorous grade level standards, and there is engagement in the mathematical practices. So we know that early number sense is foundational. Teaching students to have really strong cardinality skills before they move on. Teaching students to compare numerals and explain why. We teach students to model efficient addition strategies, to build fluency with meaning. Fluency doesn't always mean fast. So that's something to know. It is that they can apply what they've learned, the strategies, use a strategy in an efficient way. And that's what's so important for our students. We also teach concrete, representational, and then abstract progressions. We must teach students how to solve math facts and then structure practice intentionally too, giving students the time to practice what they've learned. And so a lot of teachers, their curriculum says to teach, practice, assess. And there's lots of games that have come about in math classes today. And so it raises the engagement, makes it a little bit more exciting for students and for teachers too. I wanted to also provide you with a local story because that was asked. And so I wanted to give you that too. So this is a district, and you'll see it. And I've talked with the district. They are okay with this. But as you can see, since their adoption of HQIRs, their growth in Proficient Distinguished has been amazing. And what it has done, it has provided equity for their students. It has provided a real true quality resource for those teachers to teach from. And I just wanted you to see the benefits of that in a local context, because they're proud of their story and how they have worked hard in their PLCs and really been dedicated to teaching their resources for the benefit of their students. And they do that across the grade levels. And when you do that across the grade levels consecutively, you'll see those gains even more so. And so the next one, you can see that it's benefiting all students. So I wanted you to see those increases for the economically disadvantaged, the students with disabilities. So we're seeing when you bring in that high quality resource, it impacts all. And so that's so important to highlight that work. Then you can keep going, and then that's their local dashboard for math for Proficient Distinguished. As you can see, there's not dramatic gains, but it's coming and it's on the horizon, especially with the participation of teachers in the professional learning that they're having now. So we will see students make gains and really just be more excited about math. And that's what's really important for me, is to get past the negative connotation and the negative disposition around math and really be more positive, because that's so important for students to have a positive experience with math, because we know it leads to some really high wage jobs, and that's what we want for our students to be successful. And so it's so important to support numeracy. So I appreciate that you all asked me to speak tonight and hopefully garnering even more support around this landscape. And I think that, bringing up some issues, some of the barriers are that it's a teacher disposition towards math. And so that's part of this work, is working to overcome the teacher disposition and their experiences around math, whatever they were. So we really want to tackle that. And every time I speak, I make every person say that they're a math person and tell them that they have to say that and believe it at their core. So that's one thing that I do. I'm not here with you, but I'm gonna know that you're saying it, that you are a math person, so that you can spread that positive support around numeracy, because it does have lasting impacts on us all. Numeracy space doesn't have the funding yet that literacy has, but we're hoping to increase that, because we want to have more support out into the state. We want to expand the coaching that we have of teachers and leaders around numeracy, because it does provide impacts to student experiences. So we're hoping for that, and to really expand professional learning, those opportunities around curriculum-based professional learning, and also increasing that teacher capacity around numeracy is important. So that's where we are. That's the state of affairs for numeracy. Some of the things that you could go back and talk to your districts about, you could ask them, what have we adopted in math? What's our HQIR, or high quality instructional resource for math, for numeracy? And if any of your schools are participating in any of the numeracy counts, you're welcome. You can ask me. I have that data, but I think that hopefully they could speak to that and to say it's a positive experience that they're having, that they are seeing some impacts directly to their students. So I just wanted to open the space as well. If you have any questions or want to discuss any of what I've talked about tonight, I appreciate your attention to this and love to hear questions, and also offer myself for later. If you have a question that comes up, I'm happy to be available for an email or whatever you need.
So we've got time for about 10 minutes to discuss with Chelsea any questions you have. Go ahead.
Of course, all the resources on the KCM Math Hub free.
Yes, you can access those. So that Math Hub is a very interactive website. The Kentucky Center for Mathematics also hosts a conference. They have been a really wonderful partner in increasing mathematics achievement across the state. And so you're welcome to look at any of those. There's videos, there's highlights of specific strategies that teachers could try right away. There's explorations, there's articles, images. It's a public facing website that anybody can access.
Thank you.
Interesting teacher wait time. Any other questions?
Are we able to know the middle school that had the massive roof in 5 years? I don't know if that's publicly available or not.
It is, yes. Everything that I pulled is publicly available. It was Henry County Middle School. That's my former place of employment, and so I knew that they would be okay with sharing their story, because I could speak to that and how they adopted an HQR and how they committed to doing the work, the hard work around that, because it is somewhat hard for teachers to lay down some of the things that they know and to commit to following that resource. But then they are allowed to still have their autonomy because they know their kids and they know what works for their kids. And so they can add in some experiences that we would maybe say a vibrant learning experience to make that more enriched and enjoyable. But many of the HQRs are already building in engaging, accessible learning activities inside of their resources, because it's so important for kids, but also what is so important that they're engaging in grade level tasks. We saw a few years ago that the TNTP did a scope of what tasks were being given to students, and I'm sure Sarah could speak to this as well, but there were not a lot of grade level tasks being given to students, and teachers, we are naturally helpers and people who want to help our students. And so what was happening is that teachers were assisting so much that it wasn't grade level anymore. So it's really important that students are exposed to grade level rigorous tasks. And so that's what also happens when we adopt an HQR, is it ensures that is happening in our classrooms.
Chelsea, if I could just add a comment. I had actually put my mom hat back on, had spoken with this team a couple of years ago with some frustration of, my child was being put in some remedial math and literacy coursework. And kind of an aha moment for me was when they said, yes, we want to meet students where they are and address those needs. So my son at the time was in 5th grade, and they were meeting him around a 3rd grade level, right? And it kind of was an aha moment for me to say it would be an extreme disservice to my son to never be exposed to 5th grade mathematics that entire year. Because while he'd be building foundational skills in 3rd grade, he's continuing to be set back because he's never being exposed to his on grade level tasks. So Chelsea, I hope I'm not misrepresenting that, but that was kind of a big aha moment for me in kind of this desire to meet kids where they are, but also the disservice that can put on students ultimately if they're not getting that grade level rigor and exposure.
Absolutely. And what we as a department now, there's research and we have many resources that support going in this way, is to look at the grade level learning that's happening and then see what do our students need in order to access that, and teach it in the moment. And so when you teach in the moment, it is accelerating the learning, because then that student is not responsible for, this is a 3rd grade test, this is a 4th grade test, this is a 5th grade test. The student is responsible then for that 5th grade skill that's being learned in close proximity to maybe a prerequisite skill that will help them access the 5th grade material. And so we are in full support of teaching and supporting in that way, so that students are not bearing such a cognitive burden of, I'm learning it here, I'm pulling out here, I'm learning it there. And so we really want students to be engaged in their grade level standards, and that HQR does that. And many of those resources, they provide the context for doing that, accelerating the learning in that way. They'll say, these are the skills that students need to access this module. And so, teachers know their students really well. And so they can go ahead and do some pre-teaching, some review of some prerequisite skills for their students in a smaller setting, so that they can access that learning. So that is very important to me. And I hope that that experience has been better for you, Sarah, and your son.
Any other questions? Well, you do have Chelsea's email as well as those data points in your PowerPoint. We'll also make sure Jody does a wonderful job each time sending these materials out to you. So you'll have those to see, as well as the links. I know Chelsea's provided us with several links, so you'll be able to actually access those in the email that's sent after this meeting. Chelsea, thank you so much. We can finally see you here on the screen. It's kind of a Wizard of Oz moment, who was behind the curtain. But we do appreciate your time. And we'll get feedback as well, just from members, to make sure that these presentations are meaningful and helpful, and what they get out of that. So thank you so much for the resources, the time, and for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Right. So we will move right along to legislative updates. Dr. Matthew Courtney's with us, and he is a man of few slides, so I will just turn it over.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me back to talk to you about legislation today. No slides, because legislation changes every minute. So I've been over here typing away the whole time, getting fresh updates for you about what happened just today. So that's why there's no slides. We are 2/3 of the way through the legislative session. So I'm looking a little tired and haggard compared to when I was with you last. That's why we're getting through it, though. I've pulled a few updates here that I think will be relevant and interesting to you. And then I've, of course, got my notes and my files and my portals all open over here to try to answer any other questions that you might have about pieces of legislation. So first, I would like to highlight House Bill 257. That is our accountability assessment and accountability bill that is moving through the legislature. That actually passed the House today. So we're very excited to see that move over to the Senate, where we'll have to go through the committee hearing and then we've heard on the floor. So I'm sure that I know that you have heard about that. That's been on the agenda here before. It continues to evolve, right, as all legislation does. And so we'll continue to monitor that and see what happens to it while it's over in the Senate. And the normal process is that the Senate will kind of pass their version, and then the two chambers will come together in a committee and kind of decide which parts of whose bills makes it into the final law that goes to the governor's desk. And so we'll be continuing to monitor that, but a huge milestone for that bill today. Another one that I know you all have been talking about is Senate Bill 152. This is related to SVD and councils. And so this bill will basically remove all authority of SVD and councils and convert them to advisory councils. This is posted for passage, and so we're just kind of waiting. Oh, it did pass today. Thank you. So it passed today as it's moving over to the House. So we will continue to monitor that one too. That one, kind of a mixed bag, I think, from a policy perspective. SPDM councils have kind of been death by a thousand cuts over the last really 10 years as their authority has been kind of stripped further and further back. So converting them to an SPD or to an advisory council seems to me to be the next logical step on this really decade-long trend of sort of watering down what they can do. Also, I think it's kind of sad too, because councils were a major component of HERA, which really defines Kentucky education. They copied in other states very successfully. And so to see these really innovative stakeholder decision-making groups really kind of fizzle out, for me, I think it's a little sad. I think that was a really innovative thing that we did. So they will likely be converting to advisory councils at the end of the year. Let's see. Also here, Senate Bill 181. This is a cleanup bill from last year's Bill 181, which is traceable communication. So I know that's something I talked to you all about the last time I was with this group. So trying to just really clean some of that up and make the language a little more friendly. We know that one of the key things that has done something that's really good is expand the definition of family, because there were certain family members who were left out of the last bill. So we were in this weird spot where I have to use traceable communication to talk to my cousin. In Eastern Kentucky, especially, that was causing a lot of confusion because we have very tight-knit family groups and communities there. Two bills specifically related to board member activities that I want to raise to your attention. Senate Bill 71. So that is a bill that will require 6 hours of financial training for all board members moving forward. Oh.
They changed it. It started at 6 hours every 4 years. Now it's 2 hours every. It was amended in committee, so it's not quite as many as it was. So that's a good thing. You all will have to take quite as many and just take it between 5 and 5.
Which city goes to
71.
71. You can see the stuff moves fast. We're trying almost 800 bills.
Yes.
So teamwork makes the dream work. That's for sure.
Okay. It is now. Two hours of finance every 2 years. You spend the work for 6 hours.
Yeah, so financial training definitely not 40 hours. I think that they've been talking about The legislature is really interested in school finance and what that's looking like and board oversight, superintendent oversight. Especially. You know, especially as we get to the end of all of those COVID dollars. And you all know, I'm sure there'll be sessions here about how some districts are really running out of money because they've used plan for the those $100. So legislature's really responding to that. Also, Senate Bill 3 looks at some more budget oversight and really trying to make sure that there's timelines, checkpoints for school budgets. That's going to be monitoring. A couple of bills just that are kind of moving that I think are relevant to this group. So Senate bills that have moved to the House. So Senate Bill 1, this is a bill really targeting JCPS, but it's important to kind of keep your eye on it because as things happen in JCPS, so goes the rest of the state eventually, right? So it's just kind of one to keep your eye on. Senate Bill 2 caps salaries and raises for administrators. This is really, I think, a reaction to funds that were given in the last budget cycle that was that many people told legislators would be spent on teacher salary increases that they were not spent on teacher salary increases. So I think that some legislators feel a little stab at the back probably by some of those conversations. We saw places where, teachers maybe got 3% raise, while the superintendent got a 20% raise. So that's not what that money was meant to be used for. So there's some backlash and some kind of correction happening there. Senate Bill 4 deals with principal training and creates a training cycle. Some will be directed by KDE, some will be directed by vendors who have been pre-vetted by KDE. There will be a mentoring element to that. So that has moved from the Senate to the House. Senate Bill 22 deals with dual credit scholarships for teacher apprenticeship programs. So opening dual credit up to those teacher apprenticeship. And then Senate Bill 46 is a transportation bill that's moved over to the House. It's some House bills that have moved to the Senate. We have two literacy related bills. House Bill 253 deals with curriculum and eliminating the 3 Hewing technique from our school curriculums. House Bill 389 deals with dyspraxia and dyslexia. I don't know why I said dyspraxia. And then we've got House Bill 4, which is the grooming bill that you've heard a lot about probably on the news. That's really deals more with UPSB and licensure consequences related to that. And then House Bill 7 related to school bus safety cameras. That's also moved from the House to the Senate. So those are all bills that we do anticipate to make it across the finish line at this point, having moved from one chamber to the other. They've still got plenty of time. That means there's plenty of interest and momentum for those to continue to roll. And those are the ones I think that are probably of most interest to this group based on past visits I had with you and the other things that have been on your agendas. Like I said, we are tracking over 300 bills. So I'm happy to look things up. I've got my portal open here. And if there's other bills you've heard about that you're wondering, we can talk about those. I'm happy to address some other questions.
Is it going where it's just doing?
So House Bill 500, I assume your concern there is related to the insurance fees. Yeah. So I'm going to say early days. That's kind of what I've been telling people. Of course, within KDE, all the staff are concerned if that's our insurance plan too. What I'm telling people right now is, we're not light your hair on fire phase, but we are in the call your representative phase. It is going to increase expenses for both the district and the district employees. So I do think that is a conversation you need to be having with your representatives, that this is a major concern. Additionally, I think from a board member perspective, transportation funding in our budget bill is a real concern. That is going to set back if you're going to to use general fund to buy gas, tires. So I do think that's a concern too. I think definitely it's time to start having conversations. There's still a long way to go with the budget. The budget will not be finalized until like 11:59 on April 15th at the very last minute. So that's why I say we're not lighting our hair on fire, but it is time to start.
Dr. Davis, it was possible file, YouTube, to scientists bill, and because of that, the representatives said they were not allowed to talk to school board members, superintendents, or anything about it, because of the lawsuit. Is that true, or is that just simply on record?
I'm not a lawyer, so I can't interpret legal advice. I would just say,
There is a lawsuit, but it's not related to House 500. It's like overall education.
overall.
Yeah, so I
They
mean,
told me that it's related to House 500.
Yeah. They weren't trying to maybe get these used to that.
That's what we're talking.
I've seen some from, Terry Gilpin's without sort of on the same lines of animals. So we look at it, he said, when it gets here to Senate, then it would be a whole lot more conversation about it. He didn't say we're not gonna do anything, like he said, but he encouraged, like Senator Evans encouraged me, we call, he called.
Yeah, you need to make your concerns heard, even if they don't listen to you now, because what happens in the end, it goes to Congress committee. And those leaders come together, and if there's no calls on the outside, then they're not gonna worry about it as much. I do think that the Senate is less, I don't want to say less fiscally conservative, because they certainly are fiscally conservative on the Senate too, but maybe less, just extreme, right? It's less austere, maybe is a better way to phrase that. And so definitely, once it passes over to the Senate, making sure we're talking to their senators about the budget and the impacts that's going to have. My gut kind of tells me that it will pass the House more or less how it is, and then the Senate puts it back in to fix up transportation to adjust some of the interest stuff, because that is going to really harm teachers and school personal budget, facility budget. I mean, it's just going to
Because if we gave raises here in the last couple of years, getting to where they should be, that would.
Yeah,
Make an answer. Gosh, something we may work over here. Should be raised and raises. There was another deal that I read something about, I think it had to do with Fayette County, on the amount of school board members on raising it to 9. If you had so many, how were they stating what caused it to be 9?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different bills that are kind of looking at school board composition.
This is like 40-some thousand students.
Yeah, there's some different thresholds that are being thrown around. I would say for all of those right now, just kind of sit on that, because none of them are getting hearings, they're not moving yet. That doesn't mean that they won't, right? There's still 30 legislative days, or 29 legislative days left, which is a lot of time for things to do. But it's, to me, it's kind of an extreme reaction. I think that some of those bills, I'm interpreting those school board sort of configuration bills to be an extension of the blowback on the financial piece, that maybe there's not enough oversight. But I think these other bills around financial training and around budget timelines and submissions to earlier submissions to AE and draft budgets, things like that, are really more the ones that are going to do the rest of the sheet. I'll be surprised if we see like an overall restructuring of the word compositions across the state, and I would anticipate like immediate lawsuits over those. And so even if one were to pass, it's probably 2 or 3 years of implementation. It's what a lot should.
I want to write down the numbers of those, just to keep track of them. There's 3 right now. SB 114, SB 202, and HB 649. They're all different, but they all
increase numbers or some of the pace. Just keep on your radar, but they haven't moved yet. That's it, just chill.
On the Senate Bill 102 that deals with SPPM, something you wanted to.
152.
Oh, 152. Does that have language in it that specifies then what happens to all the decision? Does that fall back to the board or does it, there's some other
Yeah,
administrative?
some of them are fall to the board, some of them are fall to some of the principal. So it does kind of specify what all that looks like. We will of course put out comprehensive guidance afterwards. How you get on that new advisory board and who knows what and how all that will work out. SPM councils really don't make a lot of decisions like when most of that is already shifted to other people. I do think maybe principals might come out a little ahead. I think they're going to have a little more authority to make sole decisions and maybe have more. I say ahead. If I were a principal, I don't know that I would want to make a sole decision. That's a lot of, accountability, which is one of the things SPM councils helped us to do was strong executive voice with a decision process. But I think that they're the ones who just make it stupid.
Brenda and Jennifer, just to let you know, we can see you all on the screen as well. So feel free, not to put you on the spot, but you are more than welcome to join in.
Are there any bills elected that have charter school or school choice decisions this year?
So right now, all the charter school stuff is pretty much dead in the water. Between the Supreme Court decisions and the general election last year. Elections ago now. Time has no meaning during session. It's just a black hole for me. So that's all pretty much dead. We've seen some drafts of bills that might kind of give boards some opportunity to bring, like maybe work alongside a charter organization. So like you would still be the board and you would still run the school and maintain ownership and control and all of that. But you might bring some people in who are doing like a little more than consulting, right? Like I kind of think about them almost like what's happening in Cloverport with the like, virtual school, where they brought those folks in to kind of do the function of the virtual school, but still they're Cloverport principal and still under the Cloverport board superintendent, that sort of arrangement. I haven't seen those bills actually filed yet, so there's just sort of conversation about them. That's kind of a charter adjacent activity, but it's still slow public funds to public schools to make decisions. But pretty much all the rest of it is. Well, with that, I'll just say stay tuned. It's still got a long way to go. Of course, we'll be happy to provide another update to you at a meeting in May or June, whatever the appropriate one might be. KSB, of course, does a great job also of making sure that you all know what's going on. So just stay tuned. Keep in contact with your legislators. Things are moving very slow this year. And so I think what that means is that things will start to move very fast. So now is the time, if you're concerned about a bill, to start having those conversations because they're not going to be answered until come March. It's just things are going to move too fast. So start having those conversations now and start doing your advocacy and just hold on tight with March. Thank you all for having me again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Y'all hear from y'all send it as much.
So it's not here on the screen. We do have just open discussion. I'm checking my clock. And it's 6:31. Let the record show, David, our chair. I think we're setting records here tonight. I was an hour early. Well, I'm on a roll, okay? So we do have time. I don't know that we've ever said that. We do have time to just open the floor, let you all be amongst each other, bring up anything that you would like. If something piques your interest as a future topic for us to either just bring you resources asynchronously outside of these meetings, we're happy to do that, or plan for a bigger conversation after speaking with Carl and David about future meetings as well. So we are more than happy to provide things to you outside of these meetings if conversation brings those up. While I open the floor for that and anything that you all have, I did go ahead and put a QR code. You also have a paper copy for people who just prefer that. Just anonymous, 3 questions. Just a real quick, did we meet your needs? Was this helpful? Were the presentations relevant to you? We just want to check ourselves on our new plan as we look at these sessions. I know today was a little bit lighter on the discussion piece as we were kind of planning as we were getting the feedback from you all. But please let us know. 60 seconds, really, just to reflect on that. And then there is space if you want to provide any specific feedback about today's meeting, feel free to add to that. But we do appreciate you taking just a moment. And we will absolutely take those bits of feedback into our planning for the next session. And so with that, before we adjourn, I do want to give you all the space and time if you have anything amongst each other, or I'm not sure if Chelsea's stepped away or is still with us, but of course Matthew's here as well. So if anything comes up, this is your time. Only thing is dinner, right?
Exactly.
So thank you, Joey, for actually giving us the information that you did. That's been hard.
I appreciate that. Thank you all.
Yeah, it's great information to be able to take back to our board, share with them. It's real good when it's here because it's fresh on your mind when you sit there tomorrow with extra things together. You can say, hey, this is what we talked about, instead of we don't have a board meeting till the end of the month, then it's great information. I appreciate it.
That's really helpful. I hadn't thought about being here in this
Yeah.
space to that advantage. So that's helpful. Well, if there is nothing else, you do have that QR code. So if you don't have a second, but these are anonymous. If you just want to leave them on the table or put them in a stack somewhere, we'll take those with us. But if we have not addressed anything, please let us know. We will be meeting again on July 9th at 5 to 7 p.m. I love that these always follow my. Oh, this one's not in not in Louisville though. I was gonna say my Louisville Broadway tickets. I finally get to see Hamilton in July. So I always come. I feel like I'm always running to Louisville twice those weeks. But Jody has what everyone actually came for. Better late than never. Makes them a little sweeter. They had extra time. Thank you all so much. If you need anything from us, don't hesitate to reach out.